Welcome to rSlash Relationship Advice, where a lying Karen tries to destroy OP's career, friendships, and marriage. Our next Reddit post is from Tomorrow May Be Today. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I was with my 26-year-old ex-boyfriend for 4 years. We moved in after 2 years of dating and were genuinely happy. I genuinely thought that I was going to marry him one day. I even moved to a different country to stay with him when his job relocated him to Europe. Throughout our relationship, I noticed that one of his girlfriends, who's 25, didn't really like me. I've tried many times to befriend her, but I gave up after constantly being on the receiving end of her cold shoulder and snarky remarks. My ex knew about this and told me that she didn't have that many girlfriends and probably didn't know how to be friends with another woman. She's the only woman in their clique of 7 guys who were all lovely to me. On the 31st of December 2019, both of us attended a party to celebrate New Year's. I don't drink, so I was completely sober. My ex got completely smashed. The next afternoon I woke up to my stuff packed and him telling me that we were done and that I had to move out. I was completely blindsided and so confused. He accused me of cheating on him. I would never do that. I think it's such a terrible thing to do. I remember crying so hard and telling him that I did no such thing, but he still kicked me out. My best friend and her boyfriend, without hesitation, opened up their home to me and told me that I was welcome to stay. Bless their hearts. They're the sweetest couple ever. During that dark period of time, I was trying to process everything. I was honestly so depressed. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I felt like a zombie, like I was barely existing. I told my family what had happened, and they were very upset for me and wanted me to fly back home. They live in a different country, and I didn't want to travel during the lockdown and potentially put them at risk of catching something. While this was happening, all of our mutual friends and his family members turned against me, choosing to believe that I was a cheater and completely cut me off in support of my ex. They posted shady stuff about me online, calling me a hoe and a cheater. Rumors started to spread, and it affected me so much that I deleted all of my social media and blocked all of them everywhere. I just wanted to disappear. As time went on, I was eventually introduced to a friend of my best friend. He was really sweet and kind, and we slowly became friends, started chatting and video calling. Fast forward to June, and I feel myself slowly falling in love with him. He doesn't believe what so many people say about me being a cheater and whatnot. He asked me out on a proper virtual date, and I agree. We started dating, and I'm so happy. I feel like he's a light at the end of my tunnel. Well, yesterday, someone from my ex's clique leaked a video on Instagram where my ex's girlfriend was boasting of how she lied and came up with this plan to break X and I up. She apparently paid someone to lie to my ex and tell him that I seduced him at the New Year's party and slept with him. Once that came out, a lot of my ex's friend and family members have been trying to contact me. They tried contacting my best friend, who basically told them to F off. My ex came to the house and was begging for me to speak to him. It was really dramatic, lol. I feel like I don't owe them any of my time at all and just want them to leave me alone. However, my parents think that it's a little sad that my ex is outside the house crying and begging to speak to me. They think that maybe I should give him a chance to speak to me. I feel really conflicted. I feel like I'm being too harsh on him and his group of friends. Should I establish a line of communication? What should I do? Down in the comments, I'm going to read this post from HighTech100 who says it best. If I were you, I would tell your ex, I'm happy that you finally learned the truth. However, our relationship ended when you chose to believe someone else. I'm happy now, so please go on with your life. I'm a 28-year-old woman, and my 33-year-old husband tricked me into taking in his 2-year-old love child. I'm blindsided and heartbroken. My husband and I have been together for 7 years and married for 3. He recently came home with a toddler and claimed it was his cousin's secret child, and we had to watch her for a few days until his wife calmed down and they could get the stuff they needed for her. He said it would be good practice for us when our little one arrived. I thought this was weird, but his cousin sent me a text verifying his story, and I wasn't going to throw a toddler out, so I just went along with it. Besides, we already had our nursery set up, so we had the space for her. Well, a few days turned into a week turned into 2, and 2 turned into a month. I'm currently 8 months pregnant and could pop at any moment, so we need our nursery back. I finally sat my husband down and told him that we had to get his cousin to come pick his daughter up because we would need the nursery soon. He kept insisting they just needed another week or two, but he was acting weird and I had a bad feeling. I asked him if there was something he wasn't telling me, and he denied. Until I told him that this was his one chance to tell me the truth, and if it came out later, I would divorce him immediately. He admitted that he cheated on me, and this little girl is from a one-night stand. Her mother recently passed away, and he was contacted to take custody or she would have been put into foster care. He said he couldn't do that to her. He kept saying he was sorry and that it meant nothing. I just sat there feeling numb. He said he wants to raise her together as our little girl, and since our baby is a boy, this was perfect because we could get the best of both worlds. I'm currently staying at my sister, and I just feel so numb. I keep expecting the tears to come, and they haven't. My husband keeps texting me, begging me to come home. He says he needs me and he can't do this by himself, and he loves me more than anything. That's obviously a lie. He wouldn't have done this to me if he loved me. I just don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. This is such a mess. So what do I do now? So this guy who lied to you about an affair and then who lied to you for months about a kid is supposed to be believed that this was just a one-night stand? I'm sorry, OP, but if you believe that, you're delusional. You have to wonder, if this was just an anonymous, meaningless one-night stand, then how did anybody find him to give him the kid? In fact, I have to wonder if the mother is even dead in the first place. Maybe she got tired of taking care of this douchebag's kid all by herself, so she dumped the child on him. OP, your husband is a toxic liar, and you need to end this relationship immediately. I'm a 28-year-old male, and I accidentally punched a woman. She went around telling people that I intentionally hit her, and also that I was abusive to my wife. Last week, there was a small get-together at my friend's house, just 9 or 10 close friends. Now, my friend invited one of his friends, Susan, who's 28, and she brought along her 30-year-old brother, who none of us knew. My 28-year-old wife was also present there. Her brother, Dave, was being weird with my wife from the get-go. Half the time he was there, he was staring at my wife inappropriately and trying to touch her whenever he found her alone. She even asked me to hold her hand the entire time because he was making her uncomfortable. I told her we could leave if she wanted to, but she said she won't let a creep sabotage her evening. This was a bad decision on our part. We should have left sooner. I got a work call in the middle of the party, and my wife told me to take the call and assured me that she would be fine with her friend, Lisa. When I came back after 5 minutes, I see Dave trying to talk to Lisa and my wife, and both of them looked very uncomfortable. Apparently, he'd been trying to convince them to get inside the pool naked. I confronted him, and, well, things escalated. He said some colorful words to my wife and Lisa and implied that my wife was totally leading him on before I came back. I physically shoved him away from my wife and Lisa. He retaliated, and I'm not proud of this, but we got into a fist fight. It was all adrenaline and fists and punches. I raised my hand to punch him, gained enough momentum that it would have knocked his teeth out, and all of a sudden his sister, Susan, comes in front of him trying to shield him, and my fist hit her face. I apologized. I profusely apologized, and even offered to take her to the hospital. I've never raised my hands against a woman, and I never will. This was a screw-up, and I was very ashamed of myself. Susan didn't accept my offer or my apologies. Dave took her to the hospital. The next day, she put up a story on Instagram about how I hit her with a proof of her injury on her face. The story they're going with is that my wife and Lisa were totally hitting on Dave, and when I found out, I hit Susan out of anger. Now I'm getting threatening messages on my social media accounts. Someone even found my LinkedIn profile and messaged my company asking why they hired woman abusers. Lisa and my wife have tried to mitigate this disaster by posting the correct version of this story, but it looks like people have made up their minds that I'm an abusive butthole. Some have even messaged my wife asking her to divorce me, or if I abuse her too, or why is she supporting someone who hits women? I contacted Susan through my lawyer and said that we're going to sue for defamation and slander, that we can settle this in court, and that other people present at the party are ready to testify against her. Dave and her are now begging us to forgive them as they're very poor. They are. They've been unemployed for about 2 or 3 years. And they're even ready to post on social media that they lied. My wife thinks that we should definitely sue them. Lisa thinks that a court case will really screw them over and destroy their lives. I kinda agree with both of them. What should I do? So these people tried to destroy your marriage, your friendships, and your job, and you're worried about ruining their life? Why? What they did is actually illegal. That is 100% defamation of character and slander, and you have every right to sue them. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't think twice about suing them. My stepsister is telling my whole family that my boyfriend got her pregnant to make herself feel better. I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I met my boyfriend Tim, who's 26, about 3.5 years ago. We hit it off, and he was great and sweet, and we got along perfectly. Until I introduced him to my family. My mother had gotten remarried a few months earlier. I like my stepdad and we get along fine. I'm friendly with my stepsister Sarah, who's 26, but we're not besties by any means. She's kind of an intense party girl, and being in our 20s, we only saw each other at family events. So I introduced him to my family, at which point we learned that Sarah used to date Tim when they were 20. It was only a few months, and Tim said they broke up because she made out with another guy at the nightclub while drunk. Sarah got upset and started saying I need to break up with him because it was weird. She called Tim her sloppy seconds and tried to get our parents to force us to break up. I said no. It had been years since they'd been together, and I didn't even know Sarah when she was dating Tim. I got pretty upset because my family jumped on the bandwagon of saying we should break up. For the past few years at any family gathering, Sarah would mention how they used to date and act like I stole her boyfriend, and she's been selling that narrative to my family and friends. It became obvious that she was jealous, but I liked Tim, so we just ignored it and kept dating. So now, a few years later, Tim and I live together, and we've been talking about marriage and stuff. And I recently had a conversation with my mom about how I thought Tim was going to propose because he's not exactly subtle, and we've talked about this for a while. At which point Sarah, who had just moved back in with our parents, walked in. She started asking a bunch of invasive questions about our relationship and being weird. Sarah is 4 months pregnant. The father, according to her, was some deadbeat guy she'd hooked up with and wants nothing to do with her, but she wants to keep the baby. I'd been making an effort taking her to appointments and offering to help babysit and trying to be excited for her. Until a week ago when my stepdad sent me a long text saying how I can't marry Tim because he's the real father of Sarah's baby. I was immediately very upset and confronted Tim, who was completely shocked and said Sarah was lying. He said there's no way and he didn't cheat on me and he would gladly have a paternity test to prove that. Unsure, I asked Sarah for more details about when they slept together, which she says happened a few times. She was shaky and went back and forth on details. The dates and times don't match up with what I can remember of what Tim and I have been doing. She also said she came to our house to see him, but since COVID, I've been working from home. So I can't imagine how they managed that. I'm pretty sure now that she's lying to get us to break up because she's still jealous. But now my family are involved and have been sending me hateful messages saying I need to break up with Tim and let him be with Sarah. She's telling everyone he's in love with her and I'm keeping him from her. She has no proof and he's strictly denied everything. I texted her asking for proof of any of this happening and she sent me some fake Photoshop screenshots that I can tell are fake, where she put Tim's name over a friend's number and pretended he was messaging her. I checked and the friend all but admitted it to me and tried to laugh it off. She badly photoshopped the timestamps. I actually don't know what to do now. I believed him and we're still together, but this has kind of thrown a wedge in everything. Sarah has poisoned my relationship with our parents and my family. I feel sick to my stomach and Sarah is now saying she won't give me a paternity test. For now, I've cut everyone off except Tim, but I don't know what to do now. Down in the comments, Deleted gives the best answer. You can have Tim file a paternity action in court based on these accusations. Then, a court order would force Sarah into admitting that she's lying. I really feel like this is the only acceptable answer, because if you just leave her to her craziness, then she could write Tim's name on the baby's birth certificate and then start trying to go for child support. So, OP, you really need to nip this craziness in the bud before it grows completely out of control. That was rSlash relationship advice, and if you like this video, then check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.